My name is Jason, and this is my shop, Classic Crew Cabs, where we find, rescue, and restore some of the lowest production vehicles ever made. Follow along on YouTube, follow along with our story on these trucks. All right, so here's Winfred. I got a couple things to do on Winfred as we talk. So this truck came to me by just freak chance. So the thing you gotta understand about these crew cabs is they were all hand built in Canada. The bump side crew cabs, the production numbers are very, very limited. So this is the 1971 Highboy. They made 664 Highboy crew cabs in 1971. Now they made more two-wheel drive, of course, but not much more. They're very, very low production numbers. So they, for the most part, and they were specifically designed for commercial applications. So logging, railroad, what have you, purchase these things. It was very, very abnormal back in the day for one of these to be purchased and used as a family truck. The original sticker price on these was more so than a Shelby GT500 of the day. Like I said, it was abnormal for just a regular family man to have one of these things. They weren't that practical and they were very expensive. So the story on this one was I was up in Oregon City buying a cab, just a regular crew cab off of a guy, and he was telling me about a truck that he has been seeing on his route. He drove truck for Pepsi, and he said it was down in the Central Point area of Oregon, which is about 3.5, 4 hours away, if I recall, from where I was. Now, I had no intention of going down there. I'm over near Portland. I was gonna come right back here to Boise, which is an easy 6-hour drive. But he's telling me about this truck, telling me that he stopped and he's talked to the owner. They're sort of receptive to sell, but they haven't come to a deal. And he also told me what he offered the seller, which I thought was an sort of insulting low price for what he was describing, right? I hadn't seen the truck in person, but any Highboy crew cab is going to carry an inherent value. And he was not offering her anywhere near what that inherent value would be. So he told me that if I was willing to pay more for it, go for it. He gave me the lead. And on a whim, I blindly drove down there. He didn't even have the address. I drove around the neighborhood in the area that he said it was until I found the back of this truck sticking out of a carport. I happened to pull up with my truck loaded full of other crew cab stuff, and the owners had just come back from a motorcycle ride. And I walked onto their property and immediately got met with a, hey, you know, bleepity bleep, what are you doing on my property? Get off my property. And I tried to break the ice and kind of make conversation with them. And I said, hey, look, I'm really interested in your truck. And immediately, it's not for sale, go away. I was like, look, give me 5 minutes to look at your truck and I'll give you a real cash offer right now. She said, fine, you have 5 minutes. It was buried inside of a carport, so it was very hard for me to move around and get. And the things I was looking at were overall condition, verifying the VIN number, verifying that it's a two-tone truck. Now, two-tone trucks in the crew cab were very, very rare. This one is a two-tone. It's boxwood with, I think it's called seafoam green on top. But I wanted to verify, and you could do all that through the door tag. So I did that within a couple minutes. I came back to her and I said, hey, here's what I'll pay you. And it was a real offer, not these lowball offers that these guys try and take advantage of people. It was just a real offer. I know these trucks, and I told her, I said, hey, I restore these trucks. I know the value. I'll give you a real offer. And so I did. And she said, hey, give me a call in 6 months. We'll be ready to sell it at that point. So I took her number and I put it in the visor of my truck. And at 6 months, I was so excited, I called her and she goes, stop calling, it's not for sale. And she hangs the phone up. And man, the anticipation that I had been feeling for that 6 months all just got completely obliterated right there. Very, very disappointed. Really thought my chance was blown. I think it came around Christmas time or whatnot. I sent them a Christmas card saying, hey, you know, just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas if you're still interested in selling the truck, you know, doing all the right thing. It wasn't until I think April that following year. So I've been working on this for about a year. So it wasn't until about April. I was heading over to Portland for another parts run, doing some stuff, and I still had the number in my visor, right? So I reached down and I called, and the husband picked up this time, and he said, hey, you know, it's odd that you call at this moment because we were just about to put this truck in the local paper, but I remember you coming by. I remember this is what you offered. And man, if we could get that price, we'd really like to do the deal. It took another 1 to 2 months to completely finalize things because this truck was an emotional attachment for his wife. She grew up in this truck. Her dad was the original owner. They bought it as a family vehicle. The story goes that he and the family lived in a logging town that didn't necessarily have paved roads, and so they used this truck to get groceries in and out to the whole town as she was growing up. So she had very, very fond memories of this truck growing up, being the truck that she rode in, her dad sitting side by side with her, and really didn't want to let it go. I mean, it was an emotional attachment, and I get that. I've been asked by many, many people, what's the price on the truck? And one of the promises that I gave that owner was that I would never sell this truck. Even though we restore these trucks, I said, this is gonna be my forever truck. I will never sell this truck. I'm gonna build memories with my own children in this truck. And her father's name was Winfred. And so we named the truck Winfred. The license plates on the front and the rear say Winfred. And you know, when I first had met that couple, I was met with extreme resistance when I first met them. And building that relationship over the year, it was 12 to 14 months, leaving the house, I was invited into the house. We were able to talk story about this truck. And I left with this woman in tears that she was so happy that this truck was going to a good home and not just someone that was going to flip it and make a buck, right? And so got it home, washed it for the first time in, you can go through my videos and you'll see this truck getting washed down for the first time in, 20 or 30 years with 20 or 30 years of barn dust on it. And really all I did to this truck was I buffed it up, changed all the fluids, of course went through the front and the rear axle because those are safety items, and I threw in some new seats that are redone to the factory spec, and I've been driving the heck out of this truck and exactly what I said I'd be doing, making memories with my kids. And it's been just a fantastic story to have in the back of my mind and a fantastic story to share with you guys and my kids. My kids love Winfred, and we've just been making memories and having a ball. So even on date night, this is the truck I take out. Actually, tonight's date night, I'm taking my wife on a date. I'm taking Winfred. So I'm doing some final touches here. Had to get in and repair some wiring, but taking it out. So here, let me pop the doors for you guys, and you guys can see what I did to Winfred. I took everything out of Winfred as far as the seats and whatnot, and I took all of the rubber floor mats to make sure it really didn't have any rust. But here's a nice little touch for y'all. So when we get in it and it's a cold winter morning, my kids have a little classic crew cab blanket they cuddle up in. But if you look inside, the original headliner exists, the original floor mats exist. I threw the original mats back in, put aftermarket seats in that are back to day one. Replaced the dash pad with a green dash pad that I found, and yeah, just been driving it. It's been just a really, really fun truck. And again, the memory in the back of my mind of this thing is envisioning her growing up in it with her dad and the memories that they were making. It's pretty special. It's a special truck. And that transfers over to, I think, a lot of the stories that I get from my customers and them growing up in the trucks, or they remember their dad had one as a hunting rig in the late 70s or early 80s or whatever the case may be. And it's just kind of fun to bring that back and actually get these trucks back on the road to be enjoyed now as a family truck. Even though most of these things were corporate vehicles back in the day, now the norm is for trucks to be crew cabs, and guys are using them as their work rig, if they're electrician or plumber or whatever, and as their weekend truck with their kids to go camping, hunting, fishing. And that's what we're reintroducing these trucks to be, is work trucks. If a guy, because a lot of our customers are actually buying them to be used as their daily rig for work, and for a family rig, and getting their classics back out on the road to be enjoyed once again. So it's really, really cool to be doing that. There's very, very few of these crew cabs left, and even fewer left on the road, and almost none of them are like Winfred here, rust free. Most of these things were just rode hard and just destroyed, unfortunately. I get all sorts of comments all the time on YouTube and Instagram, privately and publicly, about, man, I've never seen one of those in person. I'd love to see one in person. They just aren't around. And yeah, so that's that. To finish up on this thing before date night, because this one doesn't have any power steering either. Little known fact, Highboys didn't come with power assist until 73. So they were all manual. That's why they came with tall, skinny tires, so it was easy to steer. It kind of is the joy of driving one. So just putting the steering wheel back on after doing some wiring work, get it going, and take the wife out on a date night. So if you like what we're doing here, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow along on Instagram, stay tuned for more crew cab content.